I'm Teresa Shecker, and for our research project defense, we were asked about our research question being addressed. And so my research question was about the Coca-Cola Company and how they reached out to soldiers in World War II and helped them with morale, and in turn, how that actually increased the Coca-Cola Company's outreach to foreign countries. So prior to World War II, Coca-Cola was in a few foreign countries, but not near as many as they were after World War II. And I have a cold, so I'm sorry if I lose my voice. But like I said, they weren't in as many countries as they were after World War II. So during this time, and this gets into a little bit of the significance of the research question. So during this time, a lot happened. So during this time, the Office of War Information was brought about and was actually partially ran by the previous president of Coca-Cola. And the tax burdens were released on corporations that actually allowed Coca-Cola to run advertisements that were tax-free. And so all of their advertisements started to be pro-war and started to show GIs drinking Coke and started to reach out to other countries in their advertisements to where like one of their ads had soldiers on an airplane sharing a Coca-Cola with Chinese people. One was like over in Iceland and had some of the words like in that mentioned like Reykjavik, and it was very much targeted not just to Americans but to whatever country they were trying to target as well. And so it helped the morale of U.S. soldiers because they did all of these things to set up technical observers and to make sure that Coke got to the front lines and got to soldiers. And so it was very much a morale booster. I found all of these primary resources in which soldiers talked about looking forward to having Coke on the front, even on the front lines. And high-ranking officials talked about how it was a morale booster, and it was asked for by Eisenhower for this to happen when he was a general at the time. So this was a big deal for this to happen. It took a lot for this to happen. But at the same time, for the company to increase, there was no way for them to know if the temporary bottling plants that they sent to all these different countries, if they were going to remain in place. They didn't know. So this was a risk for them to do this. But it was a risk that they were willing to take to support the American soldiers during a large-scale war. Also, during a time in which sugar was being rationed and all kind of different things that you would typically need to make Coca-Cola were rationed. So they had to literally go to great lengths to make this happen. But at the same time, it did increase their overseas markets and it did increase the morale of the soldiers. Also, it gave people in foreign countries jobs during the time that they were also experiencing hardship that was left over from wars, because we think about the Great Depression here, but it was large scale. So I found also in referencing primary resources, I found one that talked about a place in Germany that there was a plant close to the 35th QM company that supplied 80,000 bottles of Coke a day. But when they were done, when Coke was done with these temporary plants, they ended up letting the people that ran it, which were, it was ran by 2 technical observers, which were people that Coke sent over that were trained but were actually part of the military during this time. When it was over, they let the people in Germany, which was over 100 local Germans, they let them keep it. They let them run it. And this was true of all kind of different countries where they left this. In Italy, in Japan, all kind of different places where they left it, locals ended up running them. And so that was really neat. And then in referencing some other of my primary resources, I found a lot of things from the Army War Department, things all the way back from 1875, going back and tracing the historicity, how the company actually started. So it had war ties to World War II, but it also had war ties to the Civil War. The maker of Coke was actually trying to defeat a morphine addiction that was tied to the Civil War. So it was pretty fascinating, the things that I found. Lots of things from the Coca-Cola company, interviews with General Marshall, ration coupons, just really neat primary resources. So this is a fascinating project. Thank you guys.